The meeting room was hidden deep inside an asteroid. 12 alien representatives sat around a large round table. They looked tired and worried. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few glowed slightly in the dim light. Ambassador Zixtal stood at the head of the table, his blue skin wrinkled with stress as he spoke. "Friends, we have all tried to fight the Xandrian Empire. We have all failed." The room filled with sad murmurs. For over 500 years, the Xandrian Empire had ruled the galaxy. They took resources from planets, made people work as slaves, and killed anyone who fought back. "My people lost 3 colonies last month," said Vrex, a tall insect-like being. "They simply took our worlds and killed those who resisted." "The Xandrians have weapons we cannot match," added Klin, whose rock-like skin was cracked from recent battles. "Their ships are too strong." Ambassador Zixtal nodded. "We have fought with courage, but courage is not enough. We need something the Empire has never seen before. We need—" The door slid open suddenly. Everyone froze. A strange creature walked in, looking surprised to see them. It had no scales, no extra limbs, and no special features. Just pink skin and dark hair. "Oh, sorry," said the creature. "I was told this was the way to the dining area. I'll just go." "Wait," said Ambassador Zixtal. "You're a human, aren't you? From Earth?" The human nodded. "Yes. John Miller. I'm here with the Earth Trade Mission. First time on this station." He looked around at the strange gathering. "I'm interrupting something important, aren't I?" The aliens looked at each other nervously. Humans were new to space travel. The Empire had not paid much attention to them yet. "Please, sit," said Ambassador Zixtal. "What do you know about the Xandrian Empire?" John sat down carefully. "Not much. They control most of the galaxy. Very old civilization. Not very friendly to newcomers." "Not friendly is a small way to put it," said Vrex. "They destroy any who stand against them." John looked around the table. "So this is, what? A rebellion planning meeting?" The room went quiet. Then Ambassador Zixtal said, "A failed rebellion. We have tried for decades to find a way to fight the Empire. Nothing works." John thought for a moment. "You know, on Earth, we have a long history of small groups beating big empires. Sometimes, the little guy wins." The alien stared at him. "What do you mean?" asked Klen. "How can the small defeat the large? It breaks the laws of nature." John smiled. "Not where I come from. In our history, we have many examples. The American Revolution, Vietnam, Afghanistan. Small forces using clever tactics to beat much stronger enemies." Ambassador Zixtal leaned forward. "You speak of military victories against advanced powers." "Sure," said John. "It's about fighting differently. Not playing by the rules the big guy sets up. Finding weaknesses, being unpredictable." The aliens looked at each other with new interest. "Tell us more," said Ambassador Zixtal. John began to explain some Earth history, but stopped when he noticed how excited the aliens were becoming. "Wait," he said. "I'm just a diplomat. I don't know much about military strategy." "But your people do," said Ambassador Zixtal. His eyes now showed a spark of hope. "Your species understands how to defeat the undefeatable." "Would your people help us?" asked Vrex. "Would humans join our fight?" John felt suddenly uncomfortable. "I can't speak for Earth. We're still new to the galactic community. We're trying to make friends, not enemies." Ambassador Zixtal stood up. "The Empire will come for Earth eventually. They'd always do. And when they come, they won't offer friendship." John looked at the desperate faces around him. He thought about Earth, so vulnerable and unaware of the danger. "I'll talk to my superiors," he said finally. "I can't promise anything, but I'll tell them what I've seen here." Ambassador Zixtal's face broke into a smile. "That is all we ask. For now." Susan Clark was in the middle of teaching her history class when 2 men in dark suits entered the back of the room. She tried to ignore them and continue her lesson about ancient warfare tactics. And so, the smaller Persian force was able to defeat the larger Greek army using the narrow pass at Thermopylae to their advantage, she explained to her students. When class ended, one of the men approached her desk. "Professor Clark, we need you to come with us. It's a matter of national security." Susan sighed. Before becoming a history professor, she had been a military strategist for 15 years. Sometimes her old employers still called on her expertise. "Can it wait until after my office hours?" she asked. "I'm afraid not," the man said, showing her a badge. "This comes from the highest level." 3 hours later, Susan found herself in a windowless room deep underground. 3 other people sat around a table with her. A tall man with short gray hair, a woman with bright red hair, and a thin man with glasses. They all looked as confused as she felt. A door opened, and a government official walked in. "Thank you all for coming. I'm Agent Harris. You're here because your country needs you." He pointed at each person. Professor Susan Clark, military strategist. Frank Woods, test pilot. Kate Brown, engineer. Peter Hayes, intelligence analyst. You all have skills we need for a very special mission. "What kind of mission?" Frank asked. Agent Harris smiled. "The kind that will decide the future of our planet." The wall behind him changed to show a star map. 3 days ago, we were contacted by an alien coalition. They need our help. Susan laughed. "You're joking." "I'm not," said Agent Harris. He pressed a button, and a door slid open. A tall blue-skinned being walked in. Everyone except Agent Harris gasped. "This is Ambassador Zixtal," said Agent Harris. "He represents several species who have been fighting against something called the Xandrian Empire." The alien bowed slightly. "Thank you for meeting with me. My people have been fighting the Empire for generations. We have always failed." Over the next hour, Ambassador Zixtal explained the situation. The Xandrian Empire controlled most of the known galaxy. They had ruled for over 500 years. They took what they wanted and crushed anyone who opposed them. "Their technology is far beyond ours," said the ambassador. "Their tactics are perfect. They always know what we will do before we do it." "So why come to us?" asked Kate. "Earth just started space travel. We're way behind you." "Because you are unpredictable," said Ambassador Zixtal. "The Empire relies on patterns and logic. But humans," he smiled strangely, "humans do not always follow logic." Peter adjusted his glasses. "He means we're crazy." "I mean you think differently," said the ambassador. "You find solutions no one else sees." Agent Harris stepped forward. "There's another reason we're taking this seriously." He changed the display to show a star map. "This is the Empire's expansion over the last 50 years. Susan studied the map. She saw the pattern immediately. "They're coming toward Earth." "Yes," said Agent Harris. "At their current rate, they'll reach us in less than 10 years. The room went quiet. Susan looked at the others. Kate was staring at her hands. Frank was watching the ambassador with narrow eyes. Peter was writing rapidly in a notebook. "So," said Susan finally, "you want us to help fight an alien empire that no one has ever beaten, using our unpredictability." Ambassador Zixtal nodded. "Yes." Susan turned to the star map again. She thought about what she had taught that morning, how a small force had used terrain to defeat a larger one. "Every empire has a weakness," she said slowly. "Every single one in human history had a flaw that brought it down." She looked at the ambassador. "We just need to find it." "Will you help us?" asked Ambassador Zixtal. Susan looked at the others. One by one, they nodded. "Yes," she said. "We'll help you." The base on Proxima b was hidden inside a mountain. The planet's harsh weather and strong magnetic fields kept it safe from Empire scanners. For 3 weeks, the human team had been working nonstop to prepare their first move against the Empire. Susan sat at a large table covered with maps and data tablets. She had spent days studying the Empire's battle history. They always expect a direct attack, she told the others. They've never faced guerrilla warfare. Frank nodded. He was working with 20 alien fighters in the training area nearby. These folks are brave, but they've been fighting the wrong way. They try to match the Empire's strength head-on. Kate was at the far end of the room, surrounded by pieces of alien technology. She had taken apart and rebuilt several Empire weapons. Their tech is advanced but not creative, she said. It's like they stopped inventing centuries ago. Peter walked in with a group of skinny aliens with large eyes. These are the Viridians, he said. They can slip into any Empire facility without being noticed. Perfect, said Susan. We need their help for our first mission. The team gathered around the main table. Susan pointed to a hologram showing a small Empire outpost. This is our target, she said. It's an Empire fuel depot on the edge of the Orient sector, lightly guarded because it's not important enough. What's the plan? Asked Frank. We don't destroy it, said Susan. That would just make them rebuild it stronger. Instead, we're going to mess with it. Make it work wrong. Kate smiled. I've modified these devices. She held up small metal discs. They'll scramble the fuel mixing ratios. Any ship that refuels there will find their engines working at half power. The Empire will think it's a technical problem, added Peter. They won't know it was an attack. And while they're fixing it, said Susan, we'll learn about their response patterns. This is just step one. 2 days later, Frank led a small team to the fuel depot. 3 human engineers and 5 Viridians moved quietly through the shadows. The Viridians could bend light around their bodies, making them almost invisible. Remember, Frank whispered to his team, no weapons unless absolutely necessary. We're ghosts, not soldiers. The team reached the main fuel tanks. The only guards were 2 bored Empire soldiers playing a game on their datapads. Too easy, whispered one of the engineers, Sam. The Viridians moved past the guards without a sound. They placed Kate's devices on the fuel regulators. The engineers added their own modifications to the station's computer system. Done, Sam said after 20 minutes. System is compromised. They'll never know we were here. Just as they were about to leave, an alarm sounded. What happened? Frank asked, looking at Sam. Not us, Sam replied, checking his scanner. A ship is arriving. Early supply run. Hide, ordered Frank. The team scattered to dark corners of the facility. An Empire ship landed at the depot. Soldiers marched out, led by an officer in a shiny black uniform. Routine inspection, the officer announced to the surprised guards. The Emperor demands perfection at all facilities. Frank watched from his hiding spot. This wasn't in their intelligence reports. The team was trapped until the inspection ended. One of the Viridians moved too quickly past a light, causing a brief flicker. An Empire soldier pointed his weapon toward the movement. What was that? The soldier asked. Frank knew they had seconds before discovery. He needed a distraction. He pulled out a small device Kate had given him just in case. Hope this works, he muttered, pressing the button. On the other side of the depot, a series of small explosions erupted. Not damaging, but loud and bright. We're under attack, shouted the Empire officer. Defend the fuel supplies. All the soldiers ran toward the explosions. In the chaos, Frank's team slipped away. Back at the base, Susan listened to Frank's report. We got the job done, he finished. But the Empire's inspection wasn't in our intelligence. They're more careful than we thought. Or they're already noticing something's wrong, said Peter. Susan nodded. Either way, our first move is made. Now we watch how they react. Kate smiled. And plan our next surprise. Admiral Drek stood on the bridge of his massive ship. He was tall and thin with gray skin. 3 red eyes blinked slowly as he stared at the report. 15 supply ships with engine problems in the same week. From the same fuel depot, he asked. The officer beside him shifted nervously. Yes, Admiral. We thought it was a technical error, but all tests show the equipment is working correctly. Then why are the ships failing? We don't know, sir. It's unusual. Admiral Drex waved his long fingers dismissively. Fix it. This is a minor problem. Yes, Admiral. But it wasn't just one problem. Over the next month, strange things happened across Empire territory. Communication systems sent messages to the wrong places. Food supplies spoiled too quickly. Security cameras showed empty hallways when people were actually there. Each problem was small. Together, they caused confusion. Back at the rebel base, Susan's team had grown. 20 more humans had joined them, including Lisa Martinez, a computer expert, and Ryan Cooper, who knew all about explosives. The Empire is getting annoyed, Peter said during their meeting. My spies report that Admiral Drex has ordered extra security at key locations. Susan nodded. Good. That means they're spreading their forces thin. Now we move to Phase 2. Phase 2 was bigger and bolder. Instead of one target, they would hit 5 at once. Susan pointed to the star map. Team 1 will disable the supply line here in the sickness sector. Team 2 will scramble communications in this area. Teams 3, 4, and 5 will each target a different Imperial outpost. All at the same time, asked Frank. Yes, said Susan. The Empire expects attacks to be direct and focused. They don't expect multiple small hits that seem unconnected. Ryan grinned, like death by 1,000 paper cuts. For the next week, they prepared. Kate built special devices for each team. Lissa created programs that would slip into Imperial computers without being noticed. Peter's spy network provided detailed maps and security rotations. On the day of the attack, Susan watched from the command center as all 5 teams moved into position. Team 1 in position. Team 2 ready. Team 3 standing by. Team 4 in place. Team 5 good to go. Susan took a deep breath. Begin operations. Across 5 star systems, the attack started at exactly the same time. None were direct assaults. Instead, they were clever tricks and traps that used the Empire's own systems against it. In the Cygnus sector, Frank's team reprogrammed transport drones to deliver supplies to the wrong places. In another system, Lisa's computer virus made communication systems translate everything into nonsense. The other teams created similar chaos at their targets. By the time Imperial forces realized they were under attack, the rebel teams were already gone. 2 days later, a nervous officer approached Admiral Drex. Sir, we have a serious problem. Admiral Drex didn't look up from his desk. What is it? We've captured an enemy agent. He says he has information about who's behind these attacks. This got the Admiral's attention. Bring him to me. The prisoner was from a species called the Mern. His fur was matted with blood, and he could barely stand. You are part of the rebellion, said Admiral Drex. Tell me who is causing these problems. The prisoner looked up with large, frightened eyes. Humans, he whispered. Humans? What are humans? A species from a small planet called Earth. They joined us recently. They're the ones planning these attacks. Admiral Drex had never heard of humans or Earth. Why should I believe you? Because, the prisoner said, they're planning something big, something you can't stop. He leaned closer. And because the Empire is developing a weapon to destroy their world. They know about it. Admiral Drex went very still. The sterilization weapon was the Empire's most secret project. How could these humans know about it? Tell me everything about these humans, he ordered. As the prisoner spoke, Admiral Drex's anger grew. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an enemy it didn't understand. The alarm woke Susan in the middle of the night. Red lights flashed across the base. She jumped out of bed and ran to the command center. Peter was already there, his face pale. Imperial ships, he said. At least 20. They found us. How? Susan asked. This base is hidden. They must have followed one of our teams back, Frank said as he entered the room. Or they have a spy among us. Susan didn't waste time wondering. Start evacuation plan Delta. We have less than 30 minutes. Everyone moved quickly. They had practiced this many times. Kate and her team grabbed the most important equipment. Lisa downloaded their data to secure devices. Ryan set charges around the base to destroy anything they left behind. What about Team 3? Kate asked. They're still out on mission. Susan checked the star map. Send the emergency recall. Tell them to meet at backup site Omega. Just as the last transport was loading, the mountain shook. Imperial ships were bombing the surface. They haven't found the exact location yet, Frank said, but they will soon. Susan did a final check. Everyone accounted for. Wait, said Ryan. Where's Kate? They searched the loading area. Kate wasn't there. She went to grab the prototype disruptors from Lab 6, one of the engineers said. Frank started running back into the base. I'll get her. No time, Susan said, grabbing his arm. The charges are about to blow. The mountain shook again, harder this time. Dust fell from the ceiling. We can't leave her, Frank insisted. If we don't leave now, we all die, Susan said. Her voice was firm, but her eyes showed pain. Kate knew the risks. We all do. As the last transport pulled away, they saw Imperial soldiers entering the base. The charges exploded behind them, collapsing the mountain entrance. They have Kate, Frank said quietly. And now we have to rescue her, Susan replied. But first, we need to implement Contingency Hydra. Contingency Hydra was Susan's backup plan. When the main base fell, 2 more would activate. When those were threatened, 4 more would appear. The rebellion would grow like a many-headed monster. The transport landed at a small outpost on a frozen moon. It wasn't comfortable, but it was safe for now. Did everyone get the emergency recall? Susan asked Peter. All teams except Team 3, he replied. They're not responding. Ryan punched a wall. First Kate, now Team 3. We're falling apart. No, Susan said firmly. This is just the beginning. The Empire is finally taking us seriously. That means we're hurting them. Lisa approached with a datapad. I've been monitoring Imperial communications. They're moving forces from the outer regions to hunt for us. Susan smiled for the first time. Then our outer region teams can move more freely. She called everyone together. The Empire thinks they've won by finding our base, but we're not like previous rebellions. We don't need one central location. We don't need massive ships or armies. She looked at each person. We just need to be where they don't expect us. Peter's datapad beeped. He read the message and his eyes widened. What is it? Susan asked. Team 3 is alive, he said. They found something. The location of the Empire's superweapon facility. The one designed to destroy Earth. The room went silent. Where? Susan asked. In the Arcturus system, heavily guarded. They say... Peter paused. They say Kate is being taken there for interrogation. Susan looked around the room. Everyone waited for her decision. 2 objectives, she said finally. Save Kate. Destroy the weapon. She turned to Frank. Prepare a rescue team. It's going to be nearly impossible, Frank said. Susan nodded. That's why we'll succeed. The Empire still doesn't understand humans. They don't know that impossible just makes us try harder. Ryan led the rescue team through the dark service tunnels of the Imperial Detention Center. 6 humans and 4 Viridians moved silently, following the map that Peter's spies had provided. Guards ahead, whispered one of the Viridians, whose large eyes could see in the dark. Ryan held up his hand, signaling everyone to stop. He pulled out a small device Kate had designed before her capture. It created a sound bubble that blocked all noise inside it. Remember, Ryan said inside the bubble, this is a stealth mission. We get Kate and get out. No heroics. They waited until the guards walked past, then continued down the tunnel. According to the map, Kate was being held in a high-security cell on level 5. Air vent access point should be right here, Ryan said. pointing to the ceiling. 2 team members helped boost him up. He removed the vent cover and pulled himself inside. The others followed. The ventilation system was cramped but provided perfect access through the facility. They crawled for 20 minutes until they reached level 5. Ryan checked his scanner. Her cell should be directly below us. He carefully removed another vent cover and peered into the room. Kate lay on a small bed, her face bruised but her eyes open and alert. She was alone. Ryan lowered himself into the room. Kate jumped up in surprise, then relaxed when she recognized him. "About time," she whispered with a weak smile. Ryan checked her for serious injuries. "Can you move?" "Yes," she said, "but we need to hurry. They're coming back soon for another interrogation." "What did you tell them?" Ryan asked as he helped her toward the vent. "Nothing important," Kate said, "but I learned plenty." Her eyes were intense. "Ryan, the weapon is real. I saw the plans. It can destroy an entire planet's ability to support life." Before Ryan could respond, an alarm sounded. "They know we're here," he said. "New plan. We fight our way out." He handed Kate a small blaster. They climbed back into the vent, just as guards burst into the cell. The team moved quickly through the ventilation system toward their exit point. "Wait," Kate said suddenly. "We need to make a detour." "What? Why?" Ryan asked. "While I was here, I mapped out the facility in my head," Kate explained. "There's a main control room 2 levels up. It has access to all the facility's data, including the weapon plans." Ryan hesitated. Their mission was just to rescue Kate, but having those plans could be crucial. "Lead the way," he decided. Kate navigated them through the vents to a large room filled with computers and screens. 3 Imperial officers worked at the stations. "Cover me," Kate whispered. She dropped down into the room while 2 team members stunned the officers with silent darts. Kate's fingers flew over the control panel. "I need 2 minutes to download everything." "We don't have 2 minutes," Ryan said as the alarm continued to blare. "Then buy me some time," Kate replied without looking up. Ryan positioned the team at both entrances to the room. Soon, Imperial soldiers appeared, firing energy weapons. The rescue team fired back. "Hurry," Ryan shouted. "Got it." Kate unplugged a small device from the console. "Everything we need to know about the weapon." They fought their way back to the service tunnels. 2 team members were hit, but the others helped carry them. Finally, they reached their hidden ship and escaped. Back at the new base, Susan hugged Kate tightly. "I knew you'd find a way to survive," she said. Kate held up the data device. "I did better than survive. I got this." The team gathered around as Kate connected the device to their computer. Detailed plans for the Imperial superweapon appeared on the screen. "The good news is we now know exactly how the weapon works," Kate said. "The bad news is it's almost operational. They're planning to test it on a small moon next week. Earth will be targeted right after." Susan studied the plans carefully. "There's more," she said. "Look at this." She pointed to a section of data. "The Empire's entire tactical network is connected to a central system. If we could access that, we could disrupt their entire operation." Lisa finished the thought. "Exactly," Susan said. "Kate, did you see anything about this central system while you were there?" Kate nodded. "Better than that. I planted a small backdoor program in their network. Lisa might be able to use it to get in." For the first time since the base attack, Susan felt real hope. "Then we have our next mission." Admiral Drex stood before the Emperor's hologram. The Emperor's face was hidden by a dark hood, but his anger was clear in his voice. "You have failed to stop these humans," the Emperor said. "Their attacks grow bolder. My Emperor, we have increased security at all important facilities." Drex replied, "We will catch them soon." "See that you do," the Emperor warned. "The sterilization weapon must be tested on schedule." When the hologram disappeared, Drex slammed his fist on the table. These humans were like nothing the Empire had faced before. They didn't attack like normal enemies. They struck quickly, then vanished. They didn't try to hold territory or win battles. They just created chaos. Across the galaxy, Susan's plan was working. She called it Operation Black Swan. The name came from an old Earth idea about events that no one could predict. The Empire relies on being able to predict what their enemies will do, Susan explained to the rebel leaders. We need to be completely unpredictable. The operation had 3 parts. First, rebel teams would attack Empire ships and bases all across the galaxy. These attacks would keep Imperial forces busy and confused. Second, while the Empire was distracted, Lisa would use Kate's backdoor program to launch her virus into the Imperial tactical network. The virus would corrupt their AI systems that predicted enemy actions. Third, Susan would lead a small team to the Imperial Command Center. With their computer systems failing, the Empire's leaders would be vulnerable. This is our one chance, Susan told her team. We hit them at their weakest point, their dependency on technology to make decisions for them. The operation began 3 days later. Rebel ships appeared in 12 different star systems, attacking Imperial bases. They didn't try to destroy the bases, just created confusion, and drew Imperial ships away from important areas. On the Rebel command ship, Lisa sat at her computer station. All teams are in position, she reported. Imperial forces are responding exactly as we predicted. Susan nodded. Launched the virus. Lisa's fingers flew over the controls. Virus deployed. Now we wait. Meanwhile, Kate and Ryan led another team to disable the superweapon facility. Their intelligence showed that the weapon was ready for its first test. We need to disable it without destroying it, Kate had explained. If we just blow it up, they'll build another one. We need to make them think it failed on its own. Inside the superweapon facility, Imperial technicians were preparing for the test when their screens suddenly went blank. What's happening? The lead technician asked. The system is rebooting, another answered. Something in the main network is causing problems. Across the Empire, the same thing was happening. Ships lost navigation. Communication systems failed. Defense shields flickered. Lisa watched the chaos spread across her monitor. The virus is working better than we expected, she told Susan. Their entire network is shutting down. Perfect, Susan said. Signal the command team. It's time for the final phase. Susan's team approached the Imperial Command Center in a stolen Empire ship. With the defense systems down, they landed without challenge. Remember, Susan told her team, our goal is not to destroy. Our goal is to reveal. They moved through the command center, placing small devices on key computer terminals. The devices would broadcast the truth about the Empire to every planet in the galaxy. As they reached the main control room, they found Admiral Drex shouting at his officers. Fix the systems now, he yelled. The Emperor demands results. The officers looked terrified. Without their AI systems, they didn't know what to do. Drex sensed someone behind him and turned. Susan stood there, weapon raised. You, Drex said. You're one of the humans. Admiral Drex, Susan replied. We need to talk. Before Drex could call for guards, a message came through on the emergency channel. It was from the Emperor himself. Drex, the rebels have accessed the Doomsday Protocol. The Emperor's voice was filled with panic. They know about the planet killers. Susan's blood went cold. What is he talking about? What are planet killers? Drex smiled, despite the situation. You really thought it would be this easy. The Empire has lasted for centuries because we are always prepared. If the Empire falls, 20 planets die. The Doomsday devices are already in place. Susan's team looked at each other in horror. They had not known about this final defense. Susan stared at Admiral Drex, her mind racing. 20 planets would die if they defeated the Empire. Billions of innocent lives. You're bluffing, she said. Drex smiled coldly. Am I? The Empire has ruled for 500 years because we plan for every possibility. Even defeat. Susan's communicator beeped. It was Kate. "Susan, we found something at the weapon facility," Kate said urgently. "The Empire has planet-destroying bombs on 20 worlds. If their command center falls, the bombs activate automatically." So it was true. Susan looked at her team, then back at Drex. "You've lost either way," Susan said. "If we stop now, you'll destroy Earth with your superweapon. If we continue, 20 planets die. What kind of victory is that?" "The kind that has kept the Empire in power for centuries," Drex replied. "Hard choices, necessary sacrifices." Susan's communicator beeped again. This time, it was Lisa. "Susan, I've analyzed the virus's effect on their systems," Lisa said. "There's something important you should know. The Doomsday system uses the same network as everything else. It's connected." Susan understood immediately. "Can you access it?" "Not to shut it down," Lisa said. "It has too many safeguards. But I might be able to modify how it works." "Do it," Susan ordered. She needed to keep Drex talking. "Tell me, Admiral, doesn't it bother you? All those innocent people who would die?" Drex shrugged. "The Emperor's will is my only concern." While they talked, Frank and his team were securing the rest of the command center. Peter was downloading data from the Imperial archives. And far away, Lisa was working frantically on her computer. "I've got it," Lisa said finally through the communicator. "The Doomsday system can be reprogrammed, but someone needs to enter the new code directly into the main console in the command center." Susan looked at the large console behind Drex. "What's the code?" Lisa told her the sequence. Susan memorized it. "You won't reach that console," Drex said, drawing his weapon. "Guards." But no guards came. The virus had thrown the entire command center into confusion. Systems were failing everywhere. "Your empire is built on fear and technology," Susan said. "When those fail, you have nothing left." She moved toward the console. Drex fired his weapon, but Frank had snuck up behind him and tackled him to the ground. "Hurry," Frank shouted as he struggled with the Admiral. Susan reached the console and entered the code Lisa had given her. The screen flashed, then displayed a message. "System reconfigured." "It's done," Susan told Lisa. "What exactly did we change?" "Instead of triggering explosions, the signal will now broadcast everything we found in the Imperial archives," Lisa explained. "Every planet in the Empire will learn the truth about their rulers." Susan looked at Drex, who was now being held by Frank and 2 other team members. "You didn't give us just 2 bad choices," she told him. "That's how the Empire thinks. Humans look for a third option." Over the next 6 months, the Empire began to crumble from within. As people learned the truth about the Emperor's plans and the Doomsday devices, worlds began to declare independence. The Imperial fleet, confused without their tactical systems, couldn't stop the wave of rebellion. The Emperor himself disappeared. Some said he fled to the far edges of the galaxy. Admiral Drex and other high-ranking officials were arrested by their own people. 1 year after Operation Black Swan, representatives from all species gathered on a neutral planet to form a new galactic council. Susan, Kate, Frank, Ryan, Peter, and Lisa were invited as honored guests. Ambassador Zixtel, now the head of the council, addressed the gathering. "We stand here today because of human ingenuity," he said. "When faced with an impossible choice, they found another way." After the ceremony, Susan stood with her team, looking at the stars through a large window. "What do you think the galaxy will be like now?" Kate asked. "Unpredictable," Susan replied with a smile. "Just the way it should be."